guys, if this is your first time to my channel, hello and welcome. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Emily and today I am showing you how to get my very basic pinky coral smoky eyeshadow look. Hello everyone! As you can see, I have a bare face and I'm looking like a naked mole rat yet again, so that means that we are going to be doing an eye tutorial today. Now I've had quite a lot of requests to do my very basic coral pinky smoky eye that I do all the time. It's literally my go-to look. And ask and you shall receive. So I am going to go ahead and take you through that. So typically when I do this look, I almost always use my Venus XL palette by Limecrime. But I understand that Limecrime is kind of a brat of a brand and not everyone wants to support them. So I went ahead and just picked out some single shadows here that I have used comparably to the Limecrime Venus XL shades. And I will be mentioning what shades I typically use in the Venus XL while I'm going through these shades and putting them on my eyes. This way, if you want to recreate this at home and you do have the Limecrime palette, you can just use that. But if you are interested in these kinds of colors and this type of look, then you're not forced to go spend your coin at Limecrime if you don't want to. So let's go ahead and get started here. I'm going to get started today by using my Colourpop 00 Fair No Filter Concealer. It's literally white concealer. And just going to put a little bit on my eyelids. This is a good look, isn't it? And now I'm just going to pat everything out with my finger and make sure everything's nice and smooth. So now these pasty eyelids need some color. So I'm going to go ahead and hop into this light baby pink matte shade. It's the shade Secrets by Colourpop, and this is actually discontinued, but I checked on their website last night and they have a shade that looks almost identical called Lucky You. It's a light baby pink matte, and Colourpop is notorious for discontinuing shades and then bringing them back under different names. So if you do want a shade like this, I suggest picking up Lucky You. And when I use Limecrime's Venus XL to get this look, I start out with the shade Scallop. Okay, so to start everything out, I'm just going to use the baby pink as my transition shade and just work that through the crease. So here we have the transition shade all blended out on both eyes, and I used the Morphe M575 to blend everything out. It's like a longer tapered dome blending brush, and it's a little bit thinner because it is tapered. I find that I can still keep the color in the crease without blending it all the way up to my brow bone because I struggle with that really badly. Now for the best part, in my opinion, I'm going to be dipping right into this corally pinky shade. This is the shade Spring Break by Karity, and I am picking it up on a Morphe 139 brush. It's just like the larger tapered dome blending brush that I used earlier, but it's a little bit more thin and a little bit more precise, so I can really get it in the inner part of my crease. And if I was using the Limecrime Venus XL palette like I typically do, then I would reach for the shade Flora. And this shade is an exact dupe for Flora. And I am so happy about that because I was looking for so long to find a perfect dupe for the shade Flora from the Venus XL palette. Because believe it or not, it's a pretty unique shade. And I was buying coral eyeshadows up the yin yang and could not find anything that was close. And finally I came across this shade by Karity, and it is a spot on color dupe. So that's a win in my book. And as you can see here, I'm just kind of patting the color on the outer edge. And then I'm bringing it in towards the inner corner. And I don't really care too much if I get any color on the lid because I'm going to be using concealer later to do a cut crease. It looks a little bit crazy right now, but I'm going to blend everything out with some more of the Colourpop Secrets shade that we used as the initial transition shade. Just running that color right over the edges, and I'm using very light pressure to make sure everything is really, really blended. But I don't want to take away from the coral eyeshadow too much because it's really easy to overblend the pink and the coral eyeshadow together. So here we have everything all blended out. Now I'm going to hop in with my Luxie 237 brush, which is a kind of smaller, more tapered blending brush. Very thin, but it's definitely still a blending brush, so it will really help me to define the outer V and get color right into the little crevice of my crease. I hate the word crevice. I have no idea why I just said that. But I'm going to go ahead and hop into MAC's Passionate, which is very similar to the shade Passion from the Limecrime Venus XL palette, which is what I would use if I was using that palette. The names are very similar though, so coincidence? I think not. But I'm gonna go ahead and start just tapping this on the outer V using really, really small circular brush strokes and really building up that pigment right on the outer V area of my eye. And I'm keeping this nice and low. I'm basically just focusing it right onto the outer V of the lid. And then if I want to bring it up a little higher later on, I can do that. I find that it's so much easier to work in small little steps and focus the color a little bit lower and use a little bit less than going in with just a bunch of product, because it is very easy for me to really pack on too much shadow too high up and ruin the entire eye look, because once you get too high up in the crease, you really can't do much to bring it back down. And I'm just going to repeat the steps on the other side here. I like my eyeshadow to be really strong and really pigmented and very true to color to what is in the pan, so I'll typically go in quite a few times to make sure that everything is really intensified on the eye. Now I'm taking the rest of what I had on my brush and I'm just going to swoop it into the lower part of my crease. I'm keeping this more so towards the lid because, like I said, if I get some on the lid, I will just go ahead and use some concealer and cover everything up. And I do want this to be pretty low in the crease because you want to see that gradient effect of baby pink to coral to this kind of magenta-y pinky purple shade. And now for a bit more depth, I'm going to hop right into Hot Tamale by Coastal Scents with the same brush, because I feel like Max Passionate isn't as dark as Passion is from the Limecrime Venus XL palette, so it doesn't create as much depth. So I want to create a bit more depth on the outer edge, and this shade is the same type of tone. It's still that magenta-y, purpley pink shade, but it's a little bit deeper in tone, and I feel like it will really help to define the outer edge. So same thing going on here. I'm just doing very small little brush strokes, just swirling my brush. And then anything that's left on the brush, I'll just kind of work right into my lower crease. If I do notice that my eye look is starting to look a little bit more on the purpley side than the hot pink side, I'll go back in with a little bit more of Flora and very lightly just run it over the edge that connects the light pink to the coral shade. And now to really intensify that cut crease aspect of this tutorial, I'm going to hop in with my Makeup Geek pencil brush. I'm going to pick up some of Hot Tamale here that we just used in the outer V, and I'm just going to tilt my head back and start to very, very lightly sketch out where I want the cut crease to be. Doing this will really help to define the cut crease once we actually go in with the concealer. It will really help for the cut crease to stand out. So now that our crease work is all done, let's go ahead and get started on the cut crease aspect of this look. So I'm going to take the same concealer that I used as primer, and I'm just going to pick it up on a little synthetic flat brush here. This is literally a synthetic flat brush that I got off of Wish. I got a pack of 12 eye brushes for like $2.99 on that website a couple years ago, and I still like this little flat brush because it's very thin and very small, so I can really get into my crease and precisely cut things out. Honestly, you can use any flat brush that you have at home as long as it's pretty small and is able to get into your eye socket. So I'm going to tilt my head back, and as you can see, the fold of my eye is right in here. So I'm going to just tilt my head back and really focus the concealer right into where my eye folds. And you can see that on your eye because it will look a little bit more round and you can actually see the little fold. So I just follow my natural eye shape. I know some people like to take it up a little bit higher. I was watching one of Kelly Gooch's video and she was mentioning how if you want it to be a little bit higher, you basically place the concealer on my lid like it is right now, and then you look up and it will stamp out somewhere a little bit higher than your crease, and you can follow that for a pretty and natural looking shape that is a little bit bigger than your actual crease. But I just like to follow my actual eye shape. So I'm still keeping my head tilted back while this is wet. That is essentially what my cut crease looks like. It's technically more of a half cut crease because I don't bring it all the way out, and I like to keep my head tilted back for a couple seconds so that I don't get any transfer up into my crease work. Same thing with the other eye. I'm just going to map out in my mirror here where I would want the cut crease to be, and as you can see, I want it kind of right in this little socket here. So I'm going to get started with the inner third of my eye and just place down some concealer. So now that I have used the concealer to cut out my crease, I'm going to hop in with this little foiled eyeshadow brush from Makeup Geek and just dip right back on into the shade Secrets by Colourpop, which is the light baby matte shade. And I'm just going to start packing this right onto my lid, right over top of the white concealer that I placed down. As you can see, I did get a little bit of transfer up into my crease area from the concealer, so I'm just hopping right back on in with the M139, the more smaller domed blending brush, and some of Karity's Spring Break, and I'm just going to cover that up with some eyeshadow here. And now I want to blend the outer corners in with the cut crease. So I'm hopping right back on in to Spring Break by Karity, and I just want to mesh the cut crease with the outer V. So I'm just going to softly do some circular blending motions, and that should help to mesh everything together and make it look a lot more seamless. So now that the upper part of the lid is all done, I am taking this Morphe M578 brush and I'm hopping right back on into Secrets by Colourpop. And I'm just going to start running this underneath the lower lash line. And this brush is a pencil brush, but it's a little bit more rounded and a little bit more domed. So I find that it really packs the color onto the lower lash line nicely. I find that this brush will pack the color onto wherever I need it to be on the lower lash line, and I can blend it out pretty well without getting too overboard with it, without bringing it too far down into my concealer area. So I do have my color switch here, so I'm just going to go ahead and wipe the brush off on my color switch. And now I'm hopping into Spring Break by Karity, and I'm just going to start running this under the lower lash line as well. So now to really connect the lower lash line to the upper lash line, I'm just going to take a mix of MAC's Passionate with Hot Tamale by Coastal Scents. I'm just going to try to focus this color on the outer third of the lower part of my lash line. And I'm trying to keep this color pretty high up and tight and close to the waterline. And now for the final finishing touches, I am taking this Morphe B16 brush. It's a really, really tiny little flat shader brush. And I'm just going to hop into Colourpop's Now and Zen. And I'm just going to start running Now and Zen underneath my brow bone. It's a very strong brow bone shade. So if you're not comfortable with using as strong as a brow bone shade as this, you can just use any highlighter that you have in your collection. But Now and Zen is one of my absolute favorite colors from Colourpop. It is such a high-end looking color. It's this beautiful white gold, but it's so bright and so shiny and not sparkly or glittery at all. And it's very reflective, and I feel like it performs like a really high-end eyeshadow. The final step is just to highlight the inner corner. So I just picked up some more of Now and Zen, and I'm just going to pack this on my inner corners. So here we have the look without any lashes or liner, any of that jazz, and I don't know about you, but I really feel like this look needs big lashes, lots of liner, and a lot of mascara. So I'm going to go ahead and pop those guys on. I'm going to eat a little snack because my stomach's pretty upset with me and is telling me, feed me. But I'm going to go ahead and get that done, and I will be back here in just a couple seconds and we will see the final result. So here we have the finished results. Should I do that thing that all of the booty gurus always do? Somehow I don't think mine holds up to the standard of the typical booty guru. But all jokes aside, I hope that you were able to find this helpful. I've gotten so many requests over the past couple of weeks to do a tutorial on this look. I know it's very basic, but for me, this is my go-to eye look. Some people like their warm browns, some people like their neutrals, some people like their cool tones, and for me, this is my go-to standard. This is like neutrals for me. This is what I'm comfortable with, and this is what I feel the prettiest in. So if for any reason you do decide to try this look out, please tag me and let me know. I would absolutely love to see it. But that is going to be wrapping up today's video. I do hope that you consider subscribing if you have not already. I am doing all sorts of makeup goodness on this channel, and if you are not already subscribed, I would love to see you hit that button down below. I hope you are having an absolutely amazing day wherever you are, and thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time. Bye!